Good evening. So I must say, not that I lack of things to do, but I kind of like the idea of like the curses of the earth, the next generation. Even though it should be said that there is no really clear cut between generations, because some of the curses are multi-generational. And above all, the starships that, as I said, are here for a long time, and it's a cyclical event, and it's part of Israeli society for more than 100 years. So, but I would say that it's kind of like the next installment, or my own like contribution to this kind of like to this phenomenon. And I also like the idea like to continue to do it in sets of 4 paintings. Now, it's not that I need to do it to start from scratch, because some of it was already done. Like, say, example, like the moon paint, like the morbid moon, the dead moon paintings. Like, so I already have a few and they're not like, they're actually, I think, one of several of my nicest. It's not like a painting that I can just, like the B-sides, or like, the inferior works of art that I can arrange in like sets of 4, just for the sake of like mathematical beauty. No, that's actually the moon paintings are actually one of the ones that I like the most, and they're not part of the series. Like, it's not that all my paintings are part of series like of the curses of the earth. So they are very nice ones actually, like in black and white, and of course so it's not that I need to do it from scratch. So I just need to think like what I already have, and what I need. Of course, I need to paint like new ones. And I kind of liked. I like to return to painting. Even though the reason I didn't do it like for so long now is because I don't have the conditions. It's because I really like to paint in oil, or oil and acrylic, and it's disgusting, and it's indeed disgusting. The smell is not nice in this room, and probably there is no solution to the problem because I'm under arrest. So stiff upper lip, as I said, just enjoying the smell of the oil, and use turpentine as little as possible, because turpentine is kind of like the worst problem with oil painting, but you cannot really ignore it. Many people say that there are also sort of like modern alternatives, but I found like a turpentine to be, it wasn't always used. Oil painting is done for like 500 years, and turpentine is quite relatively new, but yeah, it makes life easier because it's got so many uses like with oil painting. So both like in the art itself, and also cleaning cleaning yourself, and cleaning the brushes, and cleaning, it's kind of both cleaning material and material that is used for the paint itself. Like Coca-Cola, that you can arguably bake with it, but also arguably use it as, well, probably not. Anyway, like some say that you can clean like toilets with it. I don't know if it's true. Never mind, leave it. So it's nice to paint again. I miss a lot. Much stuff that I'm missing, but I can still. I still have quite a few paintings, like oils paintings, and still have like a little bit of canvas that I can use to stretch over like empty frames, and so it's nice. I also like the idea to use all the radioactive material like for my pee to enhance the creation of life forms, like it was done in the past, even in this room. Like 3 months ago, it's all documented to create like huge like giant octopi, and like the trains, or the sausages, they call it, huge scale sausages that, like it's rabies or I don't know, leprosy, but huge scale. This is all documented in this channel. The problem is oxygen. Like I don't have like a good solution for that. We'll see what I can do. I made like an experiment, to place oxygen in it, not with like airflow, but with baking soda. So maybe it's time to take like it was maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember. So maybe it's time to take like a sample of this kind of like of this specific can, and see if we see amazing stuff. Then maybe it's kind of like a good solution, because I don't want to keep it open as I've done in the past in this room. Like that's what I've done in the past. Like during April or May, it was just kept like not open, but with nylon cover that is not airtight at all. So it's basically open. And so maybe it's kind of, if we get like good results, I have very little, I have only like 4 or 5 like glasses left. and no covers at all. So I can use sellotape, but let's see what we can do. I mean, we don't need to rush to the store because we can clean old ones as well. I mean, if it's not done too many times, it's kind of like okay, but preferably it's best to use new ones. Just that I can't leave the room because of the arrest. So I mean, I'm really afraid of the police. So probably I won't do it. So we'll see what we can do. So yes, many people, I mean, they want me to keep, like, I mean, they're even more interested in kind of like the origin stories, and I mean, again, I would say what I said in one of the previous videos, that I kind of like, I mean, this kind of the delay is partly because I don't have energies in inclination, but also because I think that like other things that, I mean, it's now more clear both to me, but I mean, it was always pretty clear to me, but I think it's clear to me, and more importantly, it's clear to many of the audience that the stories or the sagas are interly connected. Like, I mean, I think that now people that follow me at least make an effort to follow some of my videos. I mean, they can see the connections. Like, they can see that, I mean, the science endeavors and the politics and history and morals and also like the fairy tales. Like, you know, they are all. I mean, they are not like, I mean, like, you know, it's kind of like an anthology, but an anthology of things that are related. Like, you know, like the iRobot of Asimov. Like, I mean, like presumably disconnected stories, but I mean, they share like history and themes. One thing that I would say, I would want to say now in this short video is I want to repeat something that I've said like maybe a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't remember. So maybe many of you have heard it already, but I think it's important enough so to repeat it even again. Even though I described it, I mean, just, I mean, a very short a while ago. But yes, I will repeat it because many people like. So a lot of people now, I mean, starting to think about questions like, I mean, the origin of life. I mean, it was always on the table, like evolution and creationism and origin of life and life in general. And to me, the most important question above all, and like it's kind of like probably the most frustrating one, especially like, I mean, for audience that, I mean, are not used to such question, I would say, which is probably almost everybody like in modern society. But to me, the most important question is what is human, like, and as I said, it's not like a new question like among Homo sapiens. It's kind of like people ask this question, like, I mean, in ancient philosophy, and like, I mean, and arguably, I mean, you could say that in a general sense, this question, even if it's not implicitly like uttered this way, you can say that this is, I mean, that inherently this is part of humanities, like, I mean, or in other liberal arts, like, I mean, that it's part of what they do. Like, what that is that, I mean, not in an implicit way. I mean, answering what is human can like be understood as many much of the things that are done under the, I mean, or are studied under the umbrella terms of the humanities, or מדעי הרוח, I don't know, kind of like academic I mean, representation of this occupation, I would say. But yes, this is a very important question, and the answers are not trivial in any way. Like, I mean, in any kind of like, I mean, strata. I mean, both in the biological sense, in the physical sense, in the chemical sense, and like, you know, in the spiritual sense, in the religious sense, in any kind of like, I mean, of layer of this question, the answer is not trivial. Even if you think that it is, I mean, then just because you're ignorant. I mean, any person that can tell you, can say that, I mean, they have like very simple answer to the question, even just one aspect of the question, they're just ignorant. I mean, they don't know enough. They haven't learned enough. So, I mean, when you're ignorant, I mean, it's very easy to come up with easy answers because you do not take into account like many things that you should have, but you don't even know about it because you're ignorant. But I can tell you that no aspect of this question, like what is human, is easy to define. No, I mean, in any kind of, like, I mean, whatever like approach you want to attack it, like, I mean, from the social aspect, from the physical aspect, from the historical aspect, from the biological, from the phenomenological, I mean, from like, I mean, you know, from the philosophical phenomenological side, like, I mean, from the, you know, the ontological side, like, I mean, what is, like, I mean, in any kind of, like, I mean, like, from any approach would, I mean, if you dig deep enough, like if you got enough information, you would find it extremely difficult to actually say what is human. It's not easy at all. And when I say human, I mean you, specifically what you, I mean, I do not like now speak about life in general or sentient life in general. No. I, I even, I mean, this would be maybe easier question or difficult question, but it's another question. This is another set of questions. Like, what is life and what is sentient life? It's like different questions. I mean, let's just speak about human, I mean, the way that you want to define it. I mean, without like crossing like the boundaries of established knowledge as it was gathered by humanity along the years. Even like when we limit ourselves to human, like intention is you, like you, the inhabitants, like the dominant species of the earth, like would want to describe it. Just that it's extremely difficult to define from every possible aspect. Now, with regards to life, the question of life. So so it's important for me to say something that that is kind of like a direct consequence of the videos in this channel. And I said it like so I'll repeat it because many people are now kind of like getting like more interested in this issue. So a while ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, not many times, a lot ago, like I've seen like an episode of The Angry Astronaut. This YouTuber that like discusses like mostly space issues and space exploration news. Like in a popular way. Like he's not a scientist, but it's kind of like from the scientific perspective, the technological perspective. It's so what's always kind of like I watch all sorts of channels, and I don't really, mostly I don't do reaction videos because it's like too much, like too many messages. I'm bombarded with so many messages. So, but this was actually something special about this episode that I've watched. That because he said something that that people like it is extremely out of the consent. He raised even the possibility. So what he said, that maybe he said maybe life is actually like not that special at all. Like maybe in a way that maybe it's like super abundant in the universe. Maybe life is the norm, like almost everywhere. And so this was actually interesting to listen to it because maybe there's also as many like other channels, of course. Like influenced by the intelligence communities of the world. So maybe it's not like a coincidence that I've heard it. Maybe I've heard it because like as a reaction to the things that I've like showing these videos. These are related. Like the channels are related, of course. But I should say that even taking this into account, this is what's interesting is this is extremely unorthodox view since like at least the 1950s, and up until the last 10 or 20 years. To even like say something like that was kind of like ridiculous. Like no one that not only that scientists wouldn't say. If scientists would have like say something like that or write like a paper, with such claims, he would. This would be the end of his career. Like he would do, and this is true about it until now. He would have been mocked completely. Like and like shamed and deleted from like academy completely. Like But even among like not science like people, but even science related people like YouTubers that like popular channels that discuss science, like this kind of channel, it was until the last it's you cannot hear such things, and moreover until the last 20 years it was even like completely non-orthodox to speak about like any evidence for life like outside of Earth. Like if you would have done it immediately, you would have pushed like to the other category of that is also like huge category, but substantially different category of like of like of like 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 conspiracy, like sensation, like the sensational, like sensationalist, like people that like create the impression that science is like important for them, but they really they're just like news and sensationalism and and horror stories and like it's a whole huge category and fantasy and spiritualism. It's a huge category like that it's everybody, like, I mean, it maybe it's difficult to define it, but I mean, you immediately you know, like, when you encounter like something that is belongs to this category. So I mean, if you I mean, but this is substantially different than the category of like science reporters, or I mean science channels, like that are not necessarily, I mean, you know, like, I mean, managed by scientists, but I mean, but they are kind of like, I mean, they are run by you know, by science populators, or people that, I mean, like, I mean, science news, like, I mean, people, things like that. So I mean, but there is a line between those two, and there should be a line, because I mean, these are different categories. I mean, I admit it. I mean, I do not like, I mean, so they're very different categories. It's like a respected category, and you know, the not so respected, but I mean, very but always have been popular, and probably will always be popular, like, I mean, of the yellow sensationalist news. So I mean, if you don't want to be kicked to the yellow like category forever, you couldn't like speak about life, like, I mean, evidence for life outside of Earth, and certainly not about like to say things like, I mean, maybe life is super abundant, like, I mean, everywhere. Again, life, not specifically sentient life, but any kind of life. And only like very recently, like in the last 10 or 20 years, it's kind of like, I mean, not in the science community per se, but in kind of like, I mean, in the more general, I would say, science, like, I mean, community of, like, you know, science reporters and science populators and science educators. Only in the last 10 or 20 years, it became much more accepted to speak about, like, I mean, like life in the solar system outside of Earth, specifically in places like Europa or Titan. Now, there is nothing new about like this theoretical possibility. Like, people that theorized about it like many decades ago, and there was actually nothing new, like, in specifically important, like in the evidence. Like, I mean, mostly what was changed, like, is kind of like a way of thought, like, or kind of like, I mean, paradigm change of what is acceptable to say, like, you know, because every community has got like of humans since forever, like they have, like, I mean, all sorts of like guidelines of what is allowed to say and what should not be said. There is always kind of like censorship with any community since forever. That's the way people, like, I mean, humans are building their communities in that way. That, I mean, there is always kind of, I mean, there is a kind of always, like, I mean, there is kind of like, I mean, the lines of discourse that, I mean, that is allowed, and there are things that you should not say that are outside of the discourse. And that doesn't matter if these people are I mean, they define themselves as liberals or conservative. It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, or progressive or religious or others, like, all of them, they always, like, within each community there is always like the invisible, like, walls that, I mean, that define the discourse, and only like what's inside can be said, like, and other things cannot be said at all, unless you want to be kicked out, like, to other communities. So mostly, I mean, these walls were kind of like moved in the last 10 or 20 years, that now, I mean, it's okay to speak about the stuff, even though there wasn't that much of like new evidence that was, and I'll speak about it in a minute. There wasn't that much of new evidence, and the theoretical possibilities were described like since long ago, about Titan in Europa, and like even other places. But I mean, just a change of spirit, like change of the, you know, the change of zeitgeist, like, like, you know, the winds of the time, like, so people, like, so now it's like okay to speak about life outside, like, of course they don't speak about Venus because of the conspiracy, and because many people just don't know, because, I mean, they died, but I mean, let's even living, but by the way, even within the boundaries of the conspiracy, it is now much more like than ever, like, I mean, acceptable to speak about life in Venus in the clouds, which is also something that is not new at all, because like, I mean, presumably, like, evidence, even though it was fake, never mind that it was fake, but from the, like, I mean, from the public, like, known, like, I mean, aspect of the situation, it was known that from long ago that, I mean, the telescopic, like, I mean, Moody spectral or even spectral, like, I mean, examination could be interpreted as the evidence for life in the microbial, of course, but nevertheless, life in the clouds, or like in the stratosphere. So this is not new. In itself, it's not new, but like lately, again, in the last 10 or 20 years, it's become like, I mean, okay to speak about it and to suggest missions, like, to inspect it. Missions that will never be approved, and many of them were cancelled by NASA and other bodies because, of course, I don't know what was the kind, I mean, you know, because it's stupid, because, I mean, of course there is life on Venus, not only in the clouds, but I mean, yeah, but even if we put Venus aside, I mean, people, it's okay now to speak about like life in like inside the solar system. Like I mean, at least I mean, seriously to speak about it. But I mean, even like within the new kind of like more laxative part of the discourse, I mean, it's not something that you can hear every day. Like people say, like I mean, the people that consider themselves serious and not a sensationalist, that maybe life is the norm. So this point of like a new, a very kind of new opinion. Like I mean, and actually, I think that this is actually correct. It doesn't mean that it's everywhere, but it's for certain tremendously more abundant, like any, like I mean, mathematical model that was presented until now by humans, like the whatever Drake equation or any other bullshittery. But also, it's true for the solar system. It's also true for the solar system, like this solar system. That actually contains tremendously more life than what is known to humans, or what is even speculated by humans. And I will tell you why it's possible. Not only, I mean, first of all, if you accept the fact that Earth contains life and Venus contains life and they are like adjacent, I mean, why not other places as well? But moreover, from the theoretical perspective, I mean, there are all sorts of kinds of life, and this was demonstrated in this room, in these various containers here. Like I mean, there are all sorts of kinds of life. So why shouldn't there be more life? And like I mean, the theory of panspermia, for example, that is considered that is known. It is known in science fiction like since long ago. But I mean, it wasn't like necessarily. I mean, and scientists kind of like I mean, did not consider it completely ridiculous, but it was always kind of like I mean, theory that scientists didn't know like how to kind of like I mean to value it, like that life can like I mean that like the different plant like I mean infect each other with life, like I mean by exchanging of meteorites, which I mean kind of like which I mean scientists I mean it's not a new theory. And it was always something that like scientists didn't know like how to kind of to do this kind of theory because it's like you know from the one hand it's like I mean it's directly I mean related to kind of to the notion of life outside of Earth, which is kind of like thing that serious scientists don't like to speak about. But from the other hand, it's like from the physical like I mean from mathematical and physical like I mean. From mathematical models and physical, like I mean, both models and empirical evidence, it actually makes sense because we know that indeed, I mean, they do. I mean, yes, there is exchange of matter between planets. I mean, there is a ton of evidence for that. So I mean, and like, if there is a place like Earth that is full of life, and it makes sense. And if there is a little life, it's full of life because life, I mean. They like to spread. Again, we don't speak about like woolly mammoth or humans. I mean, it can be germs as well. But I mean, if there is life, there is probably a lot of life. So if you exchange, like, if you do this kind of like starship exchanges all the time, I mean, meteors, but they're kind of like starships, you know, small ones or big ones. But I mean, if there is like that, things like that happen all the time, and like I mean, so it actually mathematically makes sense that yes, it actually happens. So take this. If you take it into account, and if you understand that, if you understand that life can, I mean, that is not like bound to the constraint of specifically of Earth, like I mean, as with regards to temperature, pressures, and things like that, and not even to the elements and molecules, certainly not to the molecules that you know from Earth. Then the question is, I mean, why not? Why shouldn't we life like I mean, like in many places in this even in the solar system? Now, something should be said here. Maybe it's kind of clear to people like with scientific background, but it's not clear for the general public because even like I mean, when you learn about the solar system, I mean, mostly people that are interested in such stuff, like you know, nerds and people like people like me that I mean, they start to learn about it, they study about it when they were children, like I mean, because it's kind of like you know. It's you know people like you know children like with sometimes I mean you know nerdish children I mean like that and those are the children that mostly I mean grew up to be adults that I mean have interested in such things. So I mean at least since the 1960s or 70s, like all the like the science books that are written, both that are, I mean, directed to children and like otherwise, like in the up to the academic level, they are always written in a very authoritative way. Like, now we are going to present you with the truth, and this is the truth, and you should know the truth. And I mean, so it's kind of, I mean, yeah, sure, facts. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, the atmosphere pressures in Venus is 90 atmospheres. It doesn't make sense at all, but this is the fact, and you should accept it, and that's the way it is. Even though, I mean, why? I mean, because, I mean, you kind of like, I mean, you like, because one time that you, I mean, you measured it, and that's and contrast to other measurements that were completely different, and it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, why not? Yet, I mean, yeah, this is true because it's replicated again and again, so it's very authoritative, and this kind of authoritative tone is kept, like, I mean, within everything that you learn about the solar system, starting like when you are a child, but up to, I mean, academic levels. So it's very easy to think that, yeah, I mean, humans know so much about the solar system, they know tremendously so, and not even to question where did they actually get all this knowledge. But I mean, if it's like that, I mean, if it was written like in very authoritative way in the science books, or even science TV show that, I mean, educational TV show, and certainly in kind of like, in academic articles or academic textbook for academic courses, then if it's so authoritative, then there are ways to know. I mean, whoever wrote it, I mean, the book, I mean, probably, it's in the book, and the book is like, it's made out of paper, with ink, so, and like, it's a heavy book, and many times it's hardcover, and it smells kind of like old enough to be respected, but new enough like to be relevant. So, I mean, it's got like all this sensual, like, I mean, identification, like, I mean, sensual, I mean, authorization cards of an actual book, it's like, I mean, and illustrations, and and many times several like names on the cover, so it was written by not only one person that was very smart, but presumably by many people. So, I mean, all these kind of very smart people that have written this, what is, I mean, manifestly a book. I mean, judged by books is like, I mean, how it looks and how it smells and how it touches. I mean, everything about it, I mean, greatly, I mean, hints us, I mean, that this must be super true, like what's inside of it. So we don't even ask ourselves, how did they even know all this stuff? They don't. The answer is that they don't. Now, I mean, what I'm going to say now is very trivial to many people that, I mean, knows, like, even with little understanding of space exploration, but I mean, it's not terribly like in the public. I mean, it's not everybody knows that all. So it should be said here. Humans are in the very, very, very initial stages of space exploration. Like, they haven't done almost nothing. And at that stage, every mission, except except two types, but every other mission is a complete new project, a complete new scientific project. Now, there are two exceptions, which is sending humans to low Earth orbit and sending cargo to low Earth orbit, mostly to space stations. And because of that, I mean, this is kind of like something that is pretty much routine, and it's like it seemed long ago, and that was probably, I mean, that was actually, I mean, probably, and I mean, that was the main reason for the space shuttle initiative, because, I mean, people, like, I mean, the idea that since this is starting to be routine, and people like thought that it's going to be routine, like, I mean, so they thought, let's make it reusable. So that's why they have, like, in the space shuttle like a project that, as you know, is no longer operational, and historical assessments of it is very difficult. I mean, my opinion about it tends to be on the negative side, that wasn't a good project, that it was a failure, and not only because of the Challenger and the Columbia, but for other aspects as well. But this is extremely difficult, and it's also a political question, because many people, I mean, not only NASA, but NASA has many contractors. So, I mean, many people, like, I mean, the kind of like their livelihood dependent on the assessment of the project, of such project that took place for many years. And so it's by definition, it's political, because many people, I mean, their livelihood depend on it. So, of course, I mean, they would not, like, I mean, support any kind of answer that would not be to their taste. I mean, but, I mean, so it's not easy and question. I mean, again, my intuitions on the matter is that it was not a good, like, not a successful project. But some people say very different opinions, and again, it's political because it's affected the life of many people that that made a living of this stuff. Not necessarily worked in NASA, but worked in also many contractors of NASA. But other than that, then these two very specific missions, to bring people and to bring cargo to low Earth orbits, every other mission is a new one. Unless, sometimes, you do things people do things they do things in doubles, in replicas. Famously the Venera project was like that, and the Voyager project was like that, and even if the Viking was like that, even if I'm not mistaken, but sometimes to reduce cost and to raise the probabilities of success, because there is always the chance with space, there is always the chance of failure, which also is something that greatly characterized very early stages of space exploration. If there is always the chance of crash, with or without humans, you understand that you are in the initial stages. So many times, so along the years, it was customary sometimes to do things in double, like Voyager 1, Voyager 2, or Venera 13 and Venera 14, or Viking 1 and Viking 2, that were, that all of these were doubles, they were exactly the same, in order to kind of to raise success probability and to reduce costs. But essentially, every mission is different. Every mission is different. Every kind of new thing, every kind of new, every something that you launch to another planet, or even to the same planet, if you but with different objectives, and it's always different objectives because you're just getting started. So it's every mission is new. Every time you do something is new. So everything, every kind of project or mission, has huge success, huge chances of partial or complete failure, and also it's cost money, and also it depends on successful engineering. Maybe the mission could have been successful. Everything will the robot will be sent to the place where it should be without crashing, and will get information and transmit it. But in essence, this could have been essentially a failure if it wasn't designed to begin with in a proper way. So you depend on people that will actually design the missions in a smart way. It's not always the case. Sometimes they are not smart enough. Sometimes they make mistakes, and mistakes happen, even to smart people. That's why the notion that you can find in every children's book, and also the text, feeling the academic textbook, that yes, we know everything. Yeah, of course, this is true. It's plain wrong. They don't know nothing. They just don't know. They don't know things, even basic stuff regarding Venus and Mars that are so close. So you want to tell me that you know anything about Europa or Titan? You don't. So you sent one probe. That was it gave you some pictures. Nice, but this. It's like sending probe to give you some pictures of Earth. Yeah, maybe this probe just, landed on Antarctica, and, maybe it landed in the middle of the Amazonas. Maybe it or in the Sahara. Each of these could bring you completely different results, and and none of these will probably show you any human even human human artifacts today, even today, if you send such probes to Earth. So you need much more than one probe, even a successful one to get to the bottom of things. So humans are far from it. So if you actually want to think about the Galilean moons, or any kind of the giants, the ice giants, or the clouds, the four giants that that are much far away than Mars, which is the fourth planet, which is the fourth of the rocky planets. But any of the giants, it takes a long time to send probes into such places, and you need much more probes, to really, to get to the bottom of stuff, and so people just started to do all of that. So in essence, in contrast to all the books that were published since the 1960s until today, people don't know nothing. They didn't know nothing in the 60s, and they don't know nothing now. They don't know because they don't have evidence. In science, the most important thing is evidence. You need, and where should we get this evidence from exactly? They don't have its evidence. They have models that are all extremely, abstract, and the models should also be fed with information, and there's so little information about the actual bodies, like celestial bodies, even Venus and Mars that are so close. Not to say nothing of of Ganymedes or I don't know, or Neptune. You need much more info, and humans don't have this info. That's why the actual impression that you can get by studying the solar system from human sources, it will be completely skewed, and most of all, you will not know how much you don't know, because in reality there is ton that people just don't know because they didn't send enough probes, and the probes that they sent were very, very basic, and they need to send much more and much more sophisticated probes if you want to actually get to start to get to the bottom of things. And I'm 100% certain that if they will do it, again, maybe their successors, if humanity will end and will be replaced by other species, which will be very fortunate. Whether them or they replace the sentient creatures that will replace these humans, eventually I'm certain that they will actually send large amount of sophisticated probes to all over the solar planets, the solar system. I am certain that they will find out that there is a tremendous amount of life in the solar system, probably everywhere. My estimation is that probably you can find life in each of the 8 planets and many of the moons, like the Galilean moons, or the big moons. Probably all of it contain life. And of course, regarding Mars, it should be said that again, I repeat something that I've said not long ago, that the chief scientist of the Viking mission, that was it was part of NASA. It's not sensationalist, yellow, whatever. He's the chief scientist of the Viking mission from the 1970s. That was a respected NASA scientist. He says that there is life on Mars. According to the Viking, results. So it might be wrong, but and his opinion is not supported as the consensual opinion in NASA. But it's at least it's kind of an opinion that should be kind of be treated with respect. And nobody ever ruled out that there is life on Mars. So you didn't rule it out. You didn't prove that there are no life on Mars. And the chief scientist of the mission that was sent there during the 70s, says that according to his kind of understanding of the results of the mission, there is life on Mars. So, even according to what you know, you cannot rule it out. You absolutely cannot rule it out. So that's it for now, and hopefully we'll have enough energy for all the various science and art quests that I'm in the middle of.